What if everything you've been told about success is backwards? Most people believe big success requires big changes. James Clear argues something completely different. Tiny habits, repeated every day, can completely change your life. The biggest lesson I took from this book is this: your future isn't built by your biggest decisions. It's built by your smallest daily actions. Think about brushing your teeth. You probably don't debate whether you'll do it. You simply do it. That's the power of habit. Here's what most people get wrong. They chase motivation, but motivation disappears. Systems remain. Imagine two people. One wants to lose 20 pounds. The other wants to become a healthy person. Those goals sound similar. They're actually very different. One focuses on the result. The other focuses on identity. According to Atomic Habits, real change begins when you change who you believe you are. If you believe you're a reader, reading becomes natural. If you believe you're an athlete, exercise becomes part of your identity. If you believe you're a creator, publishing becomes normal. Notice something. Identity creates habits. Habits reinforce identity. It's a positive loop. And every tiny action casts a vote for the person you're becoming. A single workout won't transform your body. A single page won't make you an expert. But hundreds of tiny actions quietly transform your future. And that's exactly why small habits are far more powerful than they first appear. Now here's a question. Why do so many people quit after just a few days? It's usually because they expect visible results too quickly. James Clear calls this the valley of disappointment. Your habits are improving you long before you can see the improvement. Imagine an ice cube sitting in a cold room. The temperature rises from 25 degrees to 31. Nothing happens. 32 degrees. Suddenly it melts. The change didn't begin at 32. It was building the entire time. Real progress often feels invisible until one small moment changes everything. Personally, I think this is where most dreams end. People stop because they mistake slow progress for no progress. The book teaches a simple rule: focus less on immediate results and more on becoming consistent. That's why Atomic Habits isn't really about habits. It's about building a system that keeps working even when motivation disappears. The first law of behavior change is simple: make the habit obvious. Your environment shapes your behavior more than your willpower. If cookies sit on the kitchen counter, guess what you'll probably eat. But if fresh fruit is the first thing you see, making a better choice becomes easier. Here's what most people get wrong. They try to change themselves when they should first change their environment. The second law is make it attractive. Your brain repeats what it enjoys. James Clear recommends something called temptation bundling. Pair something you need to do with something you already enjoy. The third law: make it easy. The smaller the first step, the more likely you'll actually begin. Want to read more? Start with 1 page. Want to exercise? Start with 2 minutes. Success grows from small beginnings. Because the hardest part isn't finishing, it's starting. Once you begin, momentum becomes your greatest ally. The fourth and final law is make it satisfying. Your brain repeats what feels rewarding. If a habit feels like endless work with no reward, it's much harder to keep. Celebrate the action, not just the result. Every completed habit is proof that you're becoming the person you want to be. Here's something I immediately started using after reading this book. Never miss twice. Everyone slips. The danger isn't one missed day. It's letting one mistake become a new habit. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a pattern. Another powerful lesson is habit tracking. What gets measured gets improved. When you see your progress growing, your motivation often follows. But don't become obsessed with the tracker. The goal isn't collecting check marks. The goal is becoming a better person. Here's what most people misunderstand. A habit tracker is a compass, not the destination. The book also explains why boredom is dangerous. Successful people don't stay consistent because every day feels exciting. They stay consistent because they keep showing up. The difference between professionals and amateurs is often consistency during boring days. James Clear introduces the Goldilocks rule. Tasks should be challenging enough to stay interesting, but not so difficult that you give up. Too easy, and you become bored. Too difficult and you become discouraged. Growth happens in the middle, where challenge and confidence meet. Think about learning a new language. Trying to memorize 1,000 words in one day won't work. Learning 5 words every day will. Or imagine building a YouTube channel. Your first 10 videos may barely get noticed. Your first 50 may still feel small, but every upload makes you a better creator. Success isn't one viral moment. It's thousands of small improvements that eventually become impossible to ignore. Personally, I think that's why this book has changed millions of lives. It replaces pressure with progress. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing success happens overnight. In reality, success is usually invisible until one day it isn't. Every workout, every page, every dollar saved, every healthy meal, every upload, they're all deposits into your future. You may not notice the difference today. You may not notice it next week, but months from now your life could look completely different. Here's what most people get wrong. They judge their habits by today's results instead of tomorrow's direction. Direction matters more than speed. Slow progress in the right direction always beats standing still. Imagine improving by just 1% every day. It sounds insignificant until you realize small improvements multiply over time. That's why tiny habits create extraordinary results. Not because they're dramatic, because they're repeatable. Let's make this practical. If I were applying this book today, I wouldn't try to change my entire life. I'd change one habit. Then I'd make it obvious. Place the book on my pillow. Make it attractive. Prepare a cup of tea before reading. Make it easy. Read only 2 pages if necessary. Make it satisfying. Cross it off every evening. That's the beauty of atomic habits. Success doesn't require a completely different life. It requires a slightly better system. And systems don't care how motivated you feel today. They quietly keep working tomorrow and the day after that. Personally, I don't think this book is really about habits. I think it's about becoming someone you can trust, because every promise you keep to yourself builds confidence. The biggest lesson I took from this book is this: your life rarely changes because of one extraordinary day. It changes because of hundreds of ordinary days done well. So don't ask yourself, how can I change my life today? Ask yourself, what's one tiny action future me will thank me for? Because every small action casts another vote for the person you're becoming. Here's my challenge for you. For the next 7 days, improve just one habit by 1%. Nothing more. Notice how quickly consistency becomes easier than motivation. Atomic Habits reminds us that greatness isn't built in a single moment. It's built in thousands of small moments that most people ignore. So here's my question for you. What tiny habit will you start today that your future self will thank you for?
Hey everyone! Don't forget to like this video, share it with all of your friends, and hit that big subscribe button right now. Drop your comments down below.